So there's really a science to this stuff? I asked Jackal once we were in his lab again. Oh, absolutely, he exclaimed, clapping his hands together. I never found nothing I can't explain. But it's key to that, you see. There's these things, these particles that facilitate full fundamental forces of the universe. Force carriers? Yeah, I know, like bosons, gluons, and photons, right? Yeah, right you are. Clever little bird. I discovered 7 more types though. I calls them the scions, chintons, and materions. The scions facilitate thought interacting with other material not part of the brain's body. The chintons are what makes things move that can make something seem much stronger than it ought rightfully be. And materions, there are several types of those. Some that are responsible for making a specific substance more durable and resilient than normally possible, and the others are responsible for seemingly spontaneous creation and annihilation of matter. Materions are a lot rarer than the first two, however. Thought the second kind might have been antimatter, when I first observed them, he explained passionately. Well, that's a simple version at least. So, anything paranormal has something to do with these particles? Right on the nose. I'm getting ready to start snooping through Tegan's transformed DNA right now. I got a suspicion I'm going to turn up something exciting there. He hummed, messing around with some really expensive looking equipment. How did you afford all this? I asked him and he tinkered. Those 2 blokes upstairs. They got a lot of faith in me and my work. No telling where I'd be if it weren't for the Count. Great fellow he is. Don't deserve the bad press. This is all just insane, I mumbled to myself. But you think you'll be able to figure out what's wrong with me? Wrong with you? How dare you? He shouted, jumping out of his chair. Ain't nothing right or wrong to do with it. It's a rare and unique event in science. Yeah, but I've been trying to eat people and stuff. And I'm really strong, but it wears me out so bad I'm useless for a long time afterward. And these, I yelled, holding my fingernails up in front of his face, trying to make a point. But it didn't work. Oh, look at that there, he shouted, snatching my hand out of air. These ain't nothing vampire. They must be from the werewolf DNA. I bet it's a type of carbon lattice structure composite inside graphite fibre. That'd proper explain the black coloration and the strength to wear resistance ratio. He pondered out loud to himself, scratching at them with his scalpel. You seem happy, Tegan said as we walked our way back upstairs to check on the poor girl we left Milo with. Yeah, I guess that's the first time in a while I didn't feel like it was some kind of, I don't know, abomination or something. I like him too. I feel like I know him somehow though. It is strange. That is kind of strange, I guess, but not that much, I admitted. He almost reminds me of Milo. We both said at the same time as we walked around the corner back into the kitchen to find Milo, with the white-haired girl's hand in his face. This is so cool! Look guys, I don't even feel it! He shouted at us, pointing to his face. Please help me, the girl mouthed silently when she saw us enter the room. Oh, show them the poof thing, he instructed her, at which point she just happily said, okay, vanished in a puff of black mist, not to return for the rest of the night. Great, you scared her off, Milo griped. What, me? Over the next couple of days, whilst me and Tegan waited for Jackal to finish his analysis, we spent some time hanging out with Charisse. Milo prowled through the halls, hoping to happen across one of the occupants who had been actively hiding from him. But one of those days, when we were all back in the mansion together, we found a note, addressed to Milo. Child, if you can behave yourself, I will grant you 10 minutes a day to ask me anything you wish. Dracula. The note said, but Milo didn't react the way I thought he would. Instead, he squinted his eyes, real narrow, leaning in to look closely at the note. There's no way, he said to himself. But a second later, he snatched the paper off the dining room door and shoved it into my face. The signature! Look! What about it? It's the same one, he mumbled before running to the room his duffel bag was in. After a few seconds, he was back, holding an old yellow book. Look, he said, opening the cover and turning it so I could see. It's the same! Leaning closer, I looked at the signature on the inside of the cover. Dracula was scrawled across it. I thought my granddad gave this to me years ago. It's my favorite thing in the world. The first edition, the original Dracula novel. He always said he got it from the real Dracula. I thought he just meant Bela Lugosi or something. But the signature, it's the same one, he said, holding the signed note up next to it with a shaking hand. Then I heard a sniffle. You okay? I asked once I noticed him wiping his eyes on his shirt. My granddad knew about this stuff, he said to himself, taking the note and the book back to the room. You should go with him, I told Tegan. Once she was gone, a familiar voice spoke from behind me. I remember that guy. My dad only ever signed one of those books. The white-haired girl said, gliding through the wall next to me. My name's Destiny, by the way. So you knew Milo's grandfather? Mm-hmm. He was funny. He gave me my car. She told me, confusing me a little. Car? You have a car? A pink hearse? You have a pink hearse? I said under my breath as she opened the door to the garage. Yep. It was supposed to be for a movie that got cancelled halfway through production. He knew I liked pink things and creepy things, so he brought it over here and gave it to me. The only condition was that I got my dad to sign the book for his grandson. Huh. Small world. It really is. Us paranormal types tend to know each other, so when regular people get involved, it seems like we're everywhere. But there is really not many of us as it can seem sometimes. Kinda like the troll market, yes! She finished for me. You're into movies? I asked. I saw the first movie. Huh. Well, if you get bored or something, you want to pile up with me and Milo and Tegan and watch some movies whilst we wait for the mad scientist? Tegan never knows what's going on, but Milo is the only one I know who can quote more lines than I can. You and my boyfriend would love each other, she giggled. He's the only person I know who can quote more lines than I can. Too bad he's too busy lately, or I would invite him too. So, you're in? Sure. Just let me know, she added as she dropped down through the floor, causing a muffled, Bloody Christ, I told you to stow it! But as I started to walk away, her head popped back up through the floor to say, Now that I think of it, that Tegan girl, she seems really familiar too. After that, she vanished again, leaving me alone to think. How the hell would Tegan seem familiar? I thought out loud as I wandered through the mansion until I happened across a door with a sign on it that read, Enter at your own risk. I don't even want to know, I mumbled as I kept walking, rounding a corner and almost running headfirst into a tall figure. Captain... Oh, you... Sorry, I was distracted. I apologized to the towering man who had his left arm in a sling. What happened? Oh, nothing at all, he answered, rolling his sleeve up to show most of his arm was made of silver. Just hard on the shoulder sometimes and needs to rest every now and then, he explains. What's on your mind, lass? He asked, taking his other hand and putting it on my back, leading me into the dining room. Everything? I said, waving my hand around. All of this. My brain hasn't stopped feeling like it's about to overheat for weeks. I keep thinking I'm awake from a dream any second. I told him as he pulled out a chair in front of me to sit in. I kinda liked the Victorian gentleman vibe he had. Made me feel, I don't know, like special or important for a second. Well, you may very well be dreaming, he suggested as he sat down across from me. Have you ever heard of solipsism? I don't think so. It's a branch of philosophy. An extreme one, I'll grant you, but it's the notion that the only thing we can truly know exists is our own self. That if we were to make everything up in our mind or be a victim to some elaborate illusion, we wouldn't know the difference. Do you believe that? No, of course not. Bunch of bunk if you ask me. But there's also epistemology, the study of how we know things. Much more noble field in my humble opinion. But the problem is, knowing anything for certain, having absolute truth, well, that's very difficult indeed. So one of the things you have to assume is that reality is real. Otherwise, you'll lose your mind before long. So you're not just a figment of my imagination? Don't seem to be, lass. And I doubt you're a figment of mine, he answered with a soft laugh. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a card game to get to, he said, standing from his chair. Oh, poker? No, I had to put a stop to that. The Count is a perfect poker face. Nobody can ever beat him. We learn to play magic instead, he said, pulling a box out of his jacket pocket and giving it a shake. You still have to watch him, though. Just because I haven't caught him yet doesn't mean he isn't a damn cheat, he added, opening the door with the sign on it and walking inside. Bullshit, I am dreaming, I said to myself after a few seconds. Then I found myself alone in the house again, so I decided to go bother Jackal in the lab. Oh, you! Here, sit. Look at this. I think I might be onto something, he said once he saw me come down the stairs. What's up? I asked nervously. Alright, see, this is what I'm thinking. I've been comparing Milo's changed DNA to wolf DNA. Love, ain't no wolf DNA to it. Huh? How? I asked more loudly than I meant to. I got an hypothesis on the matter. See this little rat-looking bastard here? He asked me, flipping through a book. That's about the last common ancestor we modern humans got to wolves. Not the most majestic of creatures I know, but follow me on this. He kept going, flipping through further pages. If you go back far enough through our taxonomy, and I do mean far back, we run into this strange group, he said as he stopped and turned the book to face me. Those are synapsids. I looked through the various images for a minute before he spoke again. Now, stand a few of these on their back legs, throw a little ape into the mix, and tell me what you get. It'd look just like a werewolf, I said quietly, looking at a particularly dramatic artist rendering of one of them snarling at the reader. So, what are you suggesting? I'm thinking there's something going on that's dialing back parts of our genetics and reactivating lost traits from ancient human ancestry to get him to that shape. There's some scientists right now working on activating part of human DNA that would let them regrow whole limbs. So this ain't even that strange, all things considered. But if you're a scared villager hundreds of years ago, you ain't gonna know no better. Just look like a scary wolfman to them. I think that name stuck all this time, he explained enthusiastically. Well, what about my deal? Oh, right. That's a whole nother can of worms. Look here. So, this is a side-by-side of your muscle cells next to Tegan's regular muscle cells and her changed muscle cells. And on the other, you got a diagram of vampire muscle cells. What you see? He said, pointing at the pictures. I wondered out loud as I looked. Come on then, think about it. I guess mine kinda look like they're somewhere in the middle. Right you are. Now there's where we got the problem. It ain't like hybrid vigor. The combined properties of your cells ain't quite compatible. Look here at werewolf cell compared to the vampire ones. What am I looking for? Look at the crisscross back and forth through the cells. Remember them from before? Well, these is what let the cells contract the muscles to do work. Now the vampires are so strong because the metal replaced these filaments. But when these contract, they cause a lot of excess damage to the muscle fibers, So their healing ability's got to pick up the slack and repair the damage. Now look at the werewolf one. Now the filament thingies are completely different, I said as soon as I looked at it. Exactly. They got about 20 times the filaments as any other paranormal creature, and they connect just as strongly to the surrounding cells. So that means what? Means that when you get a fully changed werewolf, they're unimaginably strong for their size. Physically speaking, they're damn near perfect, he explained with the same cheerful energy. Now your issue is that your muscle cells have a similar filament density as a werewolf. You don't got the metallic filaments like the vampires got, but they don't connect to each other as well, and you have a pretty human capacity to heal. You're too strong for your own good, bird, he said bluntly, his tone finally changing. Oh, well, I guess that explains a lot, doesn't it? I mumbled grimly. Yeah, love, I'm afraid you ain't exactly superhero material.
How dare you both are,
Tegan suddenly said from behind me.
I am thinking you may be down here. Have you finding anything out?
Yeah, a lot actually, I answered. Whoa, that is a lot of cleavage you got there, I added when I noticed a very open front blouse she had changed into, the silver charm of her necklace swinging drastically below. I like your necklace, I croaked, shaking my head to get my shit together.
You like?
She asked, holding it in front of my face.
Yeah,
I told her. Jesus, it's still warm, I thought to myself. Hey, this looked like the symbol in Dr. Manhattan's head, I said once I actually took a closer look at it. I think it's supposed to be a symbol for something. Hey, Dr. Jackal, do you know what the symbol is? The big dot with another dot and a ring around it? What does it mean? I asked him whilst he was digging through some of the things on the tables behind me. Yeah, it's a symbol for hydrogen, he said suspiciously. Why? He asked, having apparently not listened to the conversation up to that point. It's on Tegan's necklace, I said over my shoulder, after which there was a loud bang followed by a bunch of junk falling off the table. Necklace? He stuttered. Silver? He asked nervously, walking up to Tegan from behind me. Yeah, why? I tried to ask, but he went straight past me. How old are you? He asked Tegan, holding the charm close to his face. Early 20s? More nervously, squinting his eyes at her. Yes, this is right. This was a gift from your mother. By then, my eyes were as wide as a satellite dish as I began to see where this was leading. They were darting back and forth from one to the other, as my jaw slowly hung lower and lower. Holy fuck, this would make the best episode of Maury in history. How do you know this? Tegan asked him, but he didn't answer. You're still stronger than normal when you haven't changed, aren't you? Yes, but how are you knowing these things? She asked a little more desperately. Please, tell me. She added, her voice starting to quiver as she spoke. And you've never met your father? No! I've never met him, so how do you know— Teague! I think he's your dad. I interrupted her as tears were starting to well up in her eyes. Once I said that, she wheeled around and ran back up the stairs, leaving me in the lab, Jackal and me looking at each other like we just saw a ghost or something. What the hell is up with this goddamn place? I asked myself as he slid his back down the wall, running his fingers through his hair. What next? I thought as I heard Tegan's steps as she ran across the floor above us. What did you do? Milo scolded me, storming out of the room as I ran after Tegan. Me? I didn't do anything. Why do people just assume it's always me whenever I'm behind someone who's crying? Because you're mean. No, you go in there and fix whatever you did. I think we just found out who her dad is, I said, lowering my tone so she couldn't hear me. Wait, what? Did Jekyll do a paternity test or something? Not exactly, I mumbled under my breath. What the hell's going on? Charisse asked, whipping around the corner in the hallway. God, you're— What? What did I miss? I think Jekyll is Tegan's dad, I admitted, watching Milo's eyes widen and jaw drop just like mine. Charisse just did a twisted look of bewilderment on her face as she tried to process what I just said.
Jekyll? Jekyll, everybody, house meeting! Charisse yelled through the mansion halls. Now!